concerned with your objective reasoning, how you think, okay? And they want to kind of conflate, kind of confuse things, or get you to think that they embody some of the qualities I have. Perhaps they're even using this to kind of refine their own mannerisms and manners of speech and to blur the lines, part of why they're changing my voice. But anyway, this video is about precision and decision. Why is there a gap between the hero, the martial art hero, Romeo and Juliet, which most people don't get to? There's a huge gap between true love and Romeo and Juliet's kind of story, okay? Which most people consider true love. Unfortunately, we'll get to that if we have time. And what everyone else does. Why don't they want to at least be Romeo and Juliet? Why do they, through their behavior, reject my Royal African Falcon top martial artist, version of love? Okay. Okay. They'll do all kinds of bitch shit, like they'll mock when I say things like that, and they're basically using drugs and technology to confuse us. You can tell by my argument why they would do that, because they have no viable counter argument. It's like Urkel pretending, he's a top martial artist, or Harry Potter, and then someone like me comes along and says, this is why you're wrong. Okay, and he has all this massive military-industrial complex, corporate government things to toy with. Okay, and I have thousands of videos, so even if I don't have thousands of views for each video, there's a certain potential to reach viewers, and they're suppressing all these videos. And you can tell the fact that I'm a tall, dark, handsome guy, and the fact that I don't get a lot of views when a lot of weirdos get a lot of views, you can kind of put that together. Anyway, so precision and decision. Number one, the moral, romantic, spiritual, and mental prerogative. Okay. A, one must account for the possibility of an all-good, all-knowing, all-powerful God with a superior sense of justice in the bigger picture. There is no way to rule this out, not even close. And atheists are insane for pretending it is not the most logical conclusion to believe God's existence is the greatest possibility, at least. Obviously, I'm 100% sure there's a God in a way that I cannot prove scientifically, but I can show you that there's an overwhelming amount of evidence that there is God. Okay. So, B, living a fulfilling life is the secondary objective of the wise, and morals make for the most fulfilling life in the mind of the wisest and the best, at least. So I know for sure that living a moral life is superior to living a life of materialism. My life is actually more fulfilling than all the rich people put together. All the people who look happy put together. Just because I'm miserable and angry and so on and so forth, all the gains I've been making, the moral progress I've made is worth it. When I look back at my life of standing up for the oppressed, of being righteous, being the top martial artist, having these people resort to doing all kinds of sniveling bitch shit because they can't beat me, all the horrible, despicable things they resort to doing, overkilling, the fact that I've triumphed. I beat them in a contest that has to do with lifestyles. And as a result, they're sinking way lower, trying to scramble to try to make themselves feel better and do all kinds of bitch shit. So they've made it so I really defeated them. When we look at it, what does this victory mean? What is the nature of the victory? What is the nature of the challenge? Okay, it is a top martial arts challenge to show you who has the superior lifestyle, who's right about which way to go. When God is looking down at this, he sees me in my glory. He sees everyone else shrinking beneath Romeo and Juliet, which is July. E-T, the T is the feminine suffix, like bat and cat. I've gone over that many times. Anyway. C, these two ideas are more than enough to lead every man and woman to seek the true moral order. The Royal African Falcon Top Martial Arts Order: focus, insight, standing with the oppressed, honesty, wisdom, moral will, moral clarity, moral toughness, moral intelligence, moral love, moral maturity. Okay? So, to prepare for a life where you look back at it and say, I did the right thing, and then you pass away ready to meet your maker, ready to be marshaled by your maker. Okay. Number one, that's obviously the wise thing to do, is to prepare for that. Number two, the fulfilling life that you get. So when you say, hey, if I prepare for this, I'm going to give up all this money and all these hot chicks and da-da-da-da-da. They're all like little kids with a grown-up body if they don't value. If these females don't value me for being the top martial artist, the ideal man, the most moral, what good are they? They're like a baby with big tits and a big ass, who's tall or something, whatever, right? In their various forms. What good is that to me? You know what I'm saying? Sex isn't that great. Serving God is great. God is the source of all pleasure, okay? Not just morality, wisdom, all pleasure worth having. So why am I going to give up the source of that for these pathetic childish harlots? It's fucking stupid. It's very, very stupid. Okay? Other guys can't think past their fucking flesh-filled dick. You know what I'm saying? Instead of filling it with the spirit and waiting for a suitable helper. And when you look at it, right, it's more than just, oh, these females going, oh, yeah, I agree, because they're doing something wrong. The guy's doing something wrong. If the guy was doing something right, he'd be with me. And those same females who say, oh, yeah, take that, they're shunning me. They'd shun them for taking my side. So they wouldn't be any good to them if they did the right thing. So when you look at it, females only go for guys that are doing the wrong thing, and you got to really resent them for it, the modern females at least. And we look at the Virgin Mary in Luke 1, how she describes things. She's humble. She says, God's mighty arm scattered the cowards. The same thing I did with my martial art challenge. You don't see these guys coming to the comments saying, this argument. There's nothing they can say. They know the cage fighter isn't the angel, the spirit, isn't the sharp double-edged sword of Scripture. They know that this is a universal moral principle. They know they can't come at me with their demonstration arguments, with their cage fighting arguments, with their weightlifting and acrobatic arguments, with their circus martial arts. Okay, so I've scattered them, and they're resorting to hiding amongst women and knitting with women and taking on gay appearances willingly, and resorting to using technology and poison and drugs to try to make me look gay. And when you look at the side, my side view, you can tell I'm not a nerd. You can tell when I do things like this, okay? This is not what a nerd would do. You can tell by what I'm talking about and how I'm saying it, even in this reduced form after all this drug use, after all these years of them suppressing it, then there's a huge difference between them and me. They do all kinds of bitch shit. They literally give me drugs. They literally poison me with drugs that make it so that I'm more anxious, and things that mimic the symptoms of quote-unquote mental illnesses, which aren't even correctly defined by them, but they act as if they are to take people like me to the psych ward. So, they do all kinds of CIA, military-industrial complex, what they've done to black people from the start, right? The slave catchers, the police, dressed in the same way with the Nazi boots, the Nazi kind of way about them, scientific racism, the eugenics, okay, the deep state, COINTELPRO, MK Ultra, all this stuff that is disproportionately historically is aimed at black people. It goes back to the manifest destiny, the ship's manifest, the Ebos, and I'm from the royal family of that tribe. You can just by saying that, you should believe me and not believe them one bit, or else you're insane. But speaking of that, let's go to my next point, D, morality, more reality, right? The true love path. I walk along the path of justice in the way of righteousness. So that is how you get to love, right? God is the source of righteousness, justice. If you don't walk these paths and start achieving more and more morality and building moral intensity in the moral order, you don't get to true love because you're not in reality. If you say, well, I can do it by myself, guys, come on, I can do it by myself. Where are all the I can do it by myself bitches? They're not here obeying me, and they sure as hell ain't teaming up with me in a way that puts them at risk, okay? So you can tell that they can't do it by themselves for more than one reason. There's abundance of evidence that they can't do it by themselves. They have to obey God through the moral order. They don't have the heart. The heart would lead them to give me my rightful place. So more morality as the order, right? More reality, okay? And therefore, in order to have true love, you have to have more reality. You have to be in reality, to live what is true. So see Proverbs 15:21, Proverbs 15:28. I want to make this quicker, so let's just shoot to this number, the last point. E, why should God have, listen very carefully. For all the people who think that magically they can go to heaven after I'm gone, or they can go to heaven without obeying God through me, or that their offspring can, listen very carefully. Why should God have mercy on people that don't want to die so that they and or their offspring can be evil? People who are also part of cultures whose most attractive women shunned God's son, the top martial artist, the King of Kings, the one who is anointed with the warrior spirit of God, Exodus 15:3, okay, through generational morality, okay? After over 4 billion years of the earth being here and everything that led up to that, okay, I am the pinnacle of human morality. And after me, there's no morality, okay? I am the Ebos royal line building up, right? The King of Kings, the top martial arts line. Obi mean belt, Isaiah 11:5 or something, the belt of righteousness, the sash of faith. Can we go on and on? The throne is established in righteousness, Proverbs 16:12, and so on and so forth, okay? So why should God let, they're keeping me from having a son and a suitable helper to have a son, most attractive women, health, Okay, worthy of the king. See Psalms 45. Okay, they're supposed to obey the king. All attractive women, first and foremost, perhaps. Okay, but certainly they should obey, and perhaps more than anybody else. Okay, because God is love. So where should the attractive women look for love? Go back to Genesis. A suitable helper. It's not good for him to be alone. Give him a suitable helper, not just any old helper, not just some helper we're giving him to sabotage his bloodline so we can make it seem like our descendants are superior to his. That's sick. It's sick. It's disgraceful. You can't actually win that way. You can just make a bunch of dumbed down fools think you did, perhaps, if that. Okay, stupid as hell. Okay, so why that's not justice. If you're walking in the way of righteousness along a path of justice, and you're living in reality, more reality, you know that after I'm gone, it's evil just to live. Hell, even live in the most popular language in the world, English, basically, it's up there somewhere, is evil backwards. Okay? Now factor in the other evils and consider what caused their failure. When you don't use a universal moral and romantic scale, okay, and you don't have natural tendencies, proclivities, and inclinations toward morality, spirituality, mental prowess, spiritual prowess. Okay, so what happens? Say I'm from some African culture. Okay, and there was a lot of us. There was 5 million of us, and then they all got killed. There's 2 of us left. Fuck, am I going to be a traditionalist for? Okay, there's 2 of us left. Say we're both guys. Well, I can't marry anybody, and I'm gone. What good did being a traditionalist do me, right? Okay, because part of the point of traditionalism is to keep it going in the fucking. When you see it in these other cultures, at least, in all these cultures, at least the vast majority, the point is to keep their form the same. Okay, so in a situation where they're all dead, these guys are going to leave anyway. So now we can show you definitively, basically, that this traditional thing cannot be done to a T. First scenario. Second scenario. Let's say you're a woman in a traditional culture, and all the men are serial killers, wife beaters, rapists. You're going to turn down a righteous man so that you can date one of these scumbags, these cowards, these liars? Well, you must see now, at this point in time, all these traditional cultures, all cultures in the world are liars. They're led astray by selfishness. Selfish, see flesh, scrambled. Okay? They're selfish. They see flesh. They don't see universal moral principles. Okay? When you say, well, I'm this. And any religion, any spiritual system that doesn't consider universal moral scales and doesn't give the most moral man his rightful place and put him on top as ideal, it must be evil. What else could it be? When you look at these systems, look at the Bible. Jesus is using logic. Look at the Old Testament. There's a lot of logic there. They're using logic as a scale. Okay? And they're saying, why did you do this? You can't do this because of this. Okay, there's all kinds of symbolism and confusion, but the foundation of these religions is logic, and then they superimpose their local ethnic supremacy on that logic. Okay, so when we look at this thing completely, because they couldn't transcend their flesh in a world where there's countless religions and races and countless ethnic groups and religions, they couldn't overcome their flesh, and that's part of why some of these people, at least a lot of these attractive women, at least, would shun me. They couldn't overcome these corporate social norms. They couldn't overcome their flesh. Okay? And almost all these religions, at least in the spiritual systems, they talk about transcendence. How you can be a transcendent Christian and overcome the world, or transcendent Buddhist, or Hindu. Okay? And you can't overcome your flesh, the traditionalism, and the waves of change that have hit your religion. It was the warriors and the Hindus, and then it was the sages. They couldn't even make up their mind what the system is and who's on top. But you still can't overcome your flesh and your corporate cowardice. Your trickle-down corporate pedophile, beta, sage cowardice. It's stupid. How come they didn't sit down? How come they didn't care about being righteous enough to sit down and think this through? Because they're evil. And when you're evil, and you're like, well, I didn't know, you need to submit more. When you catch yourself way on, oh my gosh, that means you need to submit more. So if you figure it out, you know you need to submit. If you didn't figure it out, you know you need to submit even more. What don't you get?